Hey, what is up, everyone? I am here to give you yet another Walking Dead review. I usually only do two, more than one, actually. If I missed one, but I just really couldn't wait any longer to watch another episode. I really wanted to see what was going to happen next. So I decided to watch one that, and I had nothing else important to do, so pretty much that's that. Um, and this one, I actually don't know what this one's called. It's called Triggerfinger. Episode makes sense, I guess. Um, and it came out on. And this is season 2, episode 9, and it came out on February 19th, 2012. And this is actually was a really good episode. I really enjoyed this one. It kicked straight off. It left Lori was waking up from when the car had tipped over in the last episode, and we see a walker. I think this was the walker she had hit. Um, eating the windshield, and she's screaming because obviously she's afraid of getting bit. I thought this was awesome. Actually, I thought it was kind of like this is kind of cool. It was very creative that they thought of this. Um, but the walker could have obviously gotten in through the door. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, obviously. But it was creative. And then it cut to the theme song, and Rick, Glenn, and Herschel are back at the bar, and this was after they had killed Dave and Tony, um, and they're gonna leave because Herschel says they're gonna go. Herschel decides to finally go back, and they take Dave and Tony's guns, and then I guess the crew that they were with were looking for them, and they were right outside the bar, and they couldn't look for. They had to hide because obviously they can't tell them, hey, they're right here, we killed them, because then they kill them. And then the other group, Daryl, all of them are eating. Um, are about to eat dinner, and they find out that Lori's missing. So yeah, they find out Lori's missing, pretty much, um, which I think is actually pretty awesome stuff. And Carl's like all upset. Um, and the next thing that happens, I actually have to look up the next thing that happens because I forget. I think this I think the next thing that happened. Well, I'm gonna talk about the search. Uh, Carol asks Dale where she is, and he tells her, where she is, because he knows, because she tried to get him to go back to town. And um, Carol's like, "Why didn't you go there?" And Dale's like, "I'm not anyone's errand boy anymore." Which I really like in the way Dale's been utilized lately. And you're gonna find out more about this information. Um, And then what happens is back in town, and when they find out, that Lori is looking for the walker. I should also mention too that when she got out of the vehicle, because she finally ended up killing the zombie, she stabbed him with something. I forget what it was, um, and hit her with a tire. It was more like the thing that holds the tires in the car, um, and shot another one with a gun. And then what ends up happening is well, but then Shane goes out to look for her, and then back in the town, Rick devises a plan that Glenn's gonna go and her are gonna go sneak out. Well, at first, when they can't find him, because these people didn't leave for a while, Rick says that tells them what's going on with Dave and Tony, and says what was done, and we have to get through this in a world like today, and they don't say anything for a while, and then they start shooting, so it becomes like a shoot. They all start shooting at each other, and then we don't hear anything for a while, and then Rick makes up a plan that I think Glenn was gonna go out and Herschel were gonna go out the back and get the car. Um, well, Glenn was just gonna go out there and get the car, and he and Rick would meet them there, and he tells Herschel to go cover him, and he's like, you should have ditched training gun camp. And he's like, I know how to shoot, I just don't like to. So he's gonna cover Glenn, and one of the guys finds him and tries to shoot Glenn, but he moves out of the way, and Herschel shoots him. He doesn't die though, and Glenn hides behind the trash, um, the garbage can, um, the garbage can, and um, since they were shooting it, and then we see there was one that was on the roof, and they had to leave, I guess because there was walkers coming, um, and he tries to jump to the other side of the roof, but he doesn't make it. It was an epic fail, and it was like a big epic fail. Probably like the biggest fail you could ever have. He just goes to jump on the roof and he falls. At first I think he made it and then he fell. That's why you don't jump on roof to roof. You're not, unless you're Spider-Man. Then it's a completely different story. You can do whatever you want when you're Spider-Man. You can do, I mean, I think he thought he was Spider-Man. But they could, I guess the group just leaves him high to dry, and the walkers eat the guy that was shooting at Glenn, and they had to find a different way around. And Rick didn't want to just leave this guy that was shooting at him because it wouldn't be the right thing to do. And his leg is stuck in a fence, and they can't pull it out unless they cut it off because I guess he'll bleed out. And the walkers are approaching, and they didn't really have time to cut his leg off, or else they would have became walkers themselves. So Rick just decides to just pull it off. It was actually pretty funny. Um, and then we don't see them for a while. And then when Shane goes on the search for Lori, he finally finds her, and he's like, "We got to get back." Lori's like, "No, we have to find Rick and all that, Herschel and all them." And Shane says, "They're already back." He lies and says that they're already back, so then Lawyer believes him. And when she gets back, she finds out that they're not back. So she gets pissed at Shane and goes to attack him. And Lori must be really gullible, because she'll believe like anything I think you tell her. No, I probably not anything, but Shane has a history of lying to her, and he keeps believing her. But it's just really weird. And then he says that he wanted to get her back safe to keep the baby safe, and you see Carl just pop up out of nowhere and say, "You're having a baby?" And Lori just gets in shock, and Carl's all depressed that she never told him. And she's pissed at Shane for telling him, for having a big mouth. And they're gonna go give medical attention to Lori, and then Lori apologizes for leaving without telling her, and says she'll never do that again. And then she apologizes for not telling him about the baby. They were just trying to find the right time, and Carl accepts. And he asks like all these questions, and then Lori's like, "We never had to talk." And he even asked, one of the questions he asked was if it was a girl, if he could name it Sophia, which I thought was actually good stuff. And Lori's like, and Dale's like, "You're just gonna have to wait for your father." So hopefully, I wonder if they're gonna make an episode where they talk about where they have the talk, but they're not gonna they're just gonna say there's something we have to tell you. It would be kind of a strange episode. I'm just charging my phone. And then Shane pops in, apologizes to Carl for for having a big mouth, letting him know because he thought he did know. And he accepts his apology, and Shane wants to talk to Lori privately. And at first no one leaves, and then eventually I guess he agrees to have the talk. And Shane apologizes for this having the little white lie, and then Lori brings up how he's lied countless times about Rick, and she's like, you haven't been the same ever since Otis. Did you kill him? Because you haven't been the same since. And Otis says, I only did it because I love you and Carl. I wanted to keep you guys safe. And Lloyd tells Shane that she told Rick. And Shane's like, did you tell him that it was all just because the world was coming to an end and it was hell? And then she says, yeah. And Lori says, Shane says, we were meant to be together. You really did love me. We were good together and stuff like that. Kind of like the typical kind of romantic stuff you would say. And I think he says that me and you and Carl would all be like a perfect family together. Um, and Lloyd, I think, disagrees with all this stuff. Um, and then I didn't cover this yet. I wonder if this had already happened, but Carol comes in while Dale's sleeping, and he sees that he's killed like animals, and they're like hanging up on the clothesline, which is actually an awesome scene. And Dale's like, "What do you want?" And Carol's like, "I'm just checking, make sure you got not getting into trouble." And Dale's like, "That's the problem. If you had kept an eye on your little girl, you would have. She would still be alive right now." And he just goes off on it, saying how you have nothing now, you have no husband, no daughter. Um, and he's like, don't bring up anything about my past, about my father, because that's all bull. Um, and says, and I think Carol was expecting to be hit because she kind of like acted strange afterwards, and it's like, you're pathetic. He went off on it. It was actually awesome. And then Maggie and Andrea um, are in the room where Beth is like in shock. Um, and she brings up this memory. I think it was about Beth, how she was on the pill, and she was like she hated how she always got crazy when it was sex and boys. So she threw him in the water, and then they all got into a fight. And Jim's like, "What's going on?" And then he laughed. And Herschel said, "What's going on?" He's like, "We're just swimming." I kind of zoned out doing this. I even watched it twice, and I still zoned out again. So I don't know why I did. And then the next morning, they were all gonna everybody all the gang was gonna go out looking for Rick, Glenn, and Herschel, and Andrea was gonna go too. When Dale tries to talk her out of it and saying that Rick Shane is dangerous, he has something to do with the loss of Otis. And Andrea says Dale's done the most for the group. He's kept everybody alive. He's even Rick and Herschel. And Dale's like, you honestly can't believe that, can you? It's like, yeah, I do. But then they finally return, and one thing that was really awesome is Maggie hugged. You think was gonna hug her father, since she wanted to see him, but she hugged Glenn instead, which was a big scene. And then what happens is um, Rick. They had taken that guy back, and he only has one leg, so they had to do surgery on him. And then all the group talks about what they want to do with them. They were original. I think their plan is that they're gonna give him a gun, and just let him go off on his own. But then Shane's like, that can't work because then he'll be at war with us. It'll be a big war. And I think Andrea agrees with him. And Herschel says, you should just keep your mouth shut because I wanted you gone by now, but Rick talked me out of it, which was a good point. And Shane walks away pissed, and then everyone just kind of walks away. And then Herschel is checking on Beth, and Maggie comes in and says, you were out drinking, you were left, and I didn't know what to do. So she's upset with him, and she ended up talking to Glenn too, and he's like, this is a problem. I only thought of myself. When I got shot, I was just worried whether or not I wouldn't be here with you. Um, and that's not good. I only thought of myself. I didn't think of Rick or Herschel. So I don't think he wants to be with Maggie now. So yeah, that wasn't. Watch the next episode. They'll make up again. This is like an odd relationship. In my opinion, this is like an odd relationship. They'll be together one episode, and then the next they won't be together. if this is a recurring, this is probably the only thing I hate about this show, is that this awkward relationship between Maggie and Glenn. Um, and then Shane and Andrea. No, it's Andrea. I think I don't even know what the heck I'm doing anymore. It's Andrea. Um, One thing that I noticed is they were both wearing the same outfit, and normally that's what couples do. They'll wear the same outfit. So I wonder if that means that they are a couple. But Shane talks about how they both have been pushed away, that they both have the same kind of relationship going on, and that he should have just left with them when they had the chance. So it's pretty much to sum it up. Um, and talks about how he's not just gonna wait around anymore. And then Rick and Lori are in the tent, and she talks about how Shane's dangerous and how he thinks that the baby is his and everything is his, Lori and Carl and stuff, and that you can't protect pretty much everything that he's been saying. And Rick's like, I did kill, well, and how he killed Otis, but really Lori just kind of said everything that Dale said, because really she doesn't think that he killed. Well, she knows he killed Otis. I think he pretty much openly admitted it, but I guess he doesn't want to say she knows. Because normally I think when you don't want to tell someone you know something, um, that drastic. Um, but then Rick eventually says he was just trying to protect all of us. I do the same thing for you guys, and Lloyd's like, but he thinks we are my protection, and that you can't protect us. And then afterwards, he gets like this look on his face, like he wants to kill Shane, like this murderer look. And I think that was pretty awesome. And that was the end of the episode. I'm gonna probably watch yet another one and review another one today because I really want to. And I just want to. Plus, I want to see what happens next because I can't be left with this cliffhanger anymore. That's pretty much it, guys. I'll be back probably in a few minutes to do another one.